So I want to take a second to kind of go over the RED Komodo and show off some of its capabilities in a variety of different scenes and lighting scenarios. These range from a very controlled lighting setup, run and gun type beat, direct sunlight, and then a final low-key lighting, very low lit scene. I also want to state that the camera settings were consistent for each scene all the way through 6K 17:9, R3D RAW, medium quality, ISO is at 640, and then our shutter angle was at 172.8. Just cause. So starting off with one of our controlled lighting scenes, this was inspired by one of Giancarlo's previous shoots that he worked on. I think it was for a t-shirt brand, but basically it had hard light window coming onto our character, and so we kind of wanted to take that and run to the best of our abilities. The goal was to act like there was a window shooting onto our character from his left side, and then kind of used a nice shadow side on his right side, sunlight coming through behind him. Showing off the overheads, we can see that we have, again, our sunlight coming in through the back windows. There's some shears on there to really soften the light up, but as well as our fake window system over here. We have a 600D Pro with a Fresnel on it, shooting through some blinds that we hung up on an AC stand. There's a floppy and a little 2x3 cutter sort of controlling that to make it a little bit more harsh onto him to really show off that window. We had just a simple dolly shot, push in. I think we're on like a 35mm, maybe a 40, and then some handheld stuff over here, just kind of running through different insert shots. So of course the RED Komodo held up really well during this controlled lighting scenario, as a lot of cameras would do, but I would just like to state that I really appreciate the workflow of this camera, especially when using multiple people on a set. Now this is more your run and gun style filming. We were just in the backyard sort of shooting this spec work, if you will, of this Jones root beer. But I think a key feature to look at in this shot is its dynamic range. We have this sky that actually did not get blown out. We still see a little bit of that color blue, and then some shadows of the tree. See it kind of lay all onto his shoulder and body. We see some hard light on his arm. Looking at it overhead, I'm gonna give you a better understanding where the sun's at. This is early October, maybe around 3:30. Bright sunny day, no clouds in the sky, shooting through the trees onto our subject here. The big test here was seeing how the dynamic range would hold up, looking at shadows on his shirt to maybe some highlights on his skin. In my eyes, I think this turned out really well. We really didn't lose too much shadow like I was saying earlier. I did want to touch that. I know you guys are seeing some halation and maybe what looks like aberration, but this is actually added in post. We kind of liked it and added some grain as well to kind of give it this old-timey feel for this spec work that we did. Right here we have our subject sitting on a tennis court with a couple different shots that we'll show you in a second. But we have our sun coming in, kind of almost setting. It's probably about 4:30 right here. And we see this hard light just coming at her. But we can see some hard shadows on her legs as well. And then of course our long shadows here. Just kind of showing off where that sun's coming from, almost behind her. Camera's actually at a really high angle on a ladder right here. But we get a big old shadow over here and some nice light on her left side. Take a look at what you guys think about these shots. Now, hopefully you guys like those. I definitely am very proud of these. I think the skin tones held up really well. I mean, just look at the color on her arms. Very happy with how the skin looks. The big contrast with the white dress, we were able to really sort of nail down these shadows, again, with these highlights here. I think the camera's dynamic range is very well preserved. Now for our low-key lighting, this was a recreation from No Country for old men. I'm actually very impressed with how the Red Komodo performed during this little scene and recreation. It really impressed me. Looking at this frame right here, obviously we have some black in the photo. This one is actually a solid in the front of us, and then behind him is just pure roll off. But we have light shooting through this window, kind of highlighting his left side with a small little roll off onto their cheek here, maybe even our eyebrow right there, and of course onto our shirt. Showing you the overhead, this one's a little bit more complicated, if you will, and more again, maybe a controlled scenario. Here's overall lighting scene. So we had two windows over here, one's blacked out, and then our light is getting bounced into this window onto our character here. This is with that 600D with barn doors at like 100%, and then a full stop of CTB. We also had two pucks shooting at 2000 Kelvin, kind of mimicking maybe a street light. Camera's at a little bit more of a low angle, maybe shoulder height, kind of pointing up. A little closer than this actually. It was probably more like right here. So check out this camera's low light performance. Again, I'm very happy with how this turned out. Obviously, we have some full pieces of black in the frame and then maybe on the t-shirt as well. But overall, I think for a low lit scene that's low key lighting, we're not really losing too much information. And I think the biggest thing is we're not seeing much banding or anything weird in the shadows or our blacks as well. So overall, very happy with how this looks. Let me know what you guys think. So yeah, that was the Red Komodo in a couple of different scenes, hopefully giving you guys a better understanding of what it might look like. Not mentioning the lens earlier, it was a Canon 24-105 f4. We filmed at f4 the entire time. So if that can help you see what the camera can do, I'm sure that helps. If I were to say anything about the Komodo, it'd be truly to understand it and understand the stoplight system. You have three dials, your red, green, and blue. And it basically shows you if you are losing any reds, blues, or greens from 2% if it lights up to if it has a bar all the way up to 25%. So really understanding that system is very important. But yeah, if you are looking at the Red Komodo, I highly recommend it. I've had mine for a little bit of a year now and I love it. And I can't really complain about anything at all. I would like internal NDs though.